At first, the death of Tiffany Pugh seemed like a tragic case of a robbery that spiraled out of control. But it wasn't long before other theories started to be explored. Was there a connection between Tiffany's death and the murder of her husband's co-worker, DJ Nando, who was killed just months prior? Or was the man responsible much closer to home? "30-year-old Tiffany Jackson Pugh lived and worked in Atlanta, Georgia. In 2014, Tiffany and her husband Andre had been married for 11 years. The pair shared 2 children, a 2-year-old son and a 7-year-old daughter. 34-year-old Andre, or as he was also known, DJ Awesome, worked at one of Atlanta's most prominent strip clubs, Club Onyx. Andre had long been passionate about making music. While growing up in the Bronx, New York, Andre was given his first set of turntables at the age of 13. From there, he continued gaining more DJ experience before moving to Atlanta in early 2000. He would work at Club Onyx soon after. Those who knew Tiffany described her as a great mother to her children. She was kind, loving, and funny. Tiffany earned her business degree at Clark Atlanta University in 2006, after which she began working for Delta Airlines. Tiffany stood out to her employers, who steadily increased her responsibilities within the company, and in 2013, she was promoted to commodity manager. The Pugh family lived together in a home in Lake Haven. While from the outside everything seemed to be okay, tensions had been rising behind closed doors. In the early morning hours of November 23, 2014, Andre received a phone call from their alarm company. They were alerted about a possible break-in at their Lake Haven home. Andre asked them to turn off the alarm so the children wouldn't be awakened. He then called 911. 2 officers arrived on the scene at around 6:30 a.m. They found Andre outside the home, yelling that his children were inside and Tiffany wasn't answering the phone. The officers went inside to see what was going on. They found 2 children asleep before going into the main bedroom. There, the officers made a shocking discovery. Tiffany's 2-year-old son was crying, clinging to her lifeless body. She had an obvious gunshot wound to the left eye. One officer carefully removed the toddler from Tiffany before his partner checked for a pulse. Tragically, Tiffany had already succumbed to her injuries. She had been shot twice, once in the torso and once in the eye. Tiffany's death was initially looked at as a possible robbery gone wrong. Maybe someone had broken into the home, thinking nobody was inside before shooting Tiffany in a panic when they discovered her. But it didn't take detectives long for them to start thinking of alternative possibilities. Andre raised suspicions from the start. During his questioning, Andre told detectives that he had been working at Club Onyx that night before heading to his second home. The call from the alarm company came at 5:50 a.m., informing him of a possible break-in through their kitchen window. This should have immediately concerned Andre, knowing his wife was home alone with their 2 children and another child whom Tiffany was babysitting. When asked about what he did when he got home, Andre told detectives that he had gone inside and seen a body where his wife usually slept. Instead of checking who the person was, Andre left the room and went to check on the children before waiting outside for the police. Unsurprisingly, none of this was making any sense. When word of Tiffany's death broke, her social media accounts were flooded with messages of condolences. Several days after her murder, Andre posted a message on her timeline that read, "Sitting here wondering how I will get through this. For 11 years you coached me through my bad times. Now I have no more coach. I'm trying my best not to cry, but seeing you in a state where I'm not used to is hurting me. I miss you, love you, and want you back so much. Just want to hear you say babe one more time. But this was far from an accurate portrayal of the state of their marriage, which was on the brink of collapse. 2 weeks before her murder, Tiffany reached out to an attorney and booked an appointment to start divorce proceedings. The attorney described Tiffany as a great woman trying to get herself out of a challenging situation. Tiffany's funeral was held 6 days after her death on Saturday the 29th of November 2014 at Forest Lawn Memorial Gardens. Those who knew Tiffany and loved her gathered to pay their respects. Andre was of course there, and one of his childhood friends, Adrian Harley, who was best man at his wedding and now one of the pallbearers for Tiffany's coffin. Not only had Andre and Adrian known each other for years, but Adrian also worked at Club Onyx a few nights a week. As detectives continued to investigate Tiffany's murder, Andre's story just wasn't adding up. When they discovered what was said on the 911 call, it further raised their suspicion that he wasn't telling the whole truth. Andre told the 911 operator that his wife had been murdered. When the operator asked him if he had been inside the home, Andre replied that he hadn't, but the alarm company had told him there had been a break-in. If the alarm company had told him about a break-in, why would he conclude that his wife had been murdered? And more importantly, how did he know that Tiffany had been murdered if he hadn't been inside the house? When Tiffany and Andre's phone records were searched, detectives found text messages between the two arguing about custody of their children. When searching their call logs, detectives found calls between Adrian and Andre before and after the so-called break-in. But even more incriminating were the cell phone pings that put both men's phone around the crime scene at the time of the murder. The next important thing to look for was any available surveillance footage from the neighborhood. Shortly before 5:50 a.m., 2 cars were seen near the Pugh home, one of which ended up parking right in front of their house. The camera could not catch who exited the car or if someone even did, but the vehicle was seen speeding away. It was an Infiniti with a broken taillight. Guess who drove an Infiniti with a broken taillight? Andre's childhood friend, Adrian Harley. On the 5th of December 2014, Adrian Pugh was arrested on conspiracy to commit murder and burglary relating to his wife's death. Adrian was arrested on the same day on suspicion of murder. Authorities alleged that Andre had hired his childhood friend to break into their home and murder his wife. Fulton magistrate Karen Woodson allowed a bond to be set for both Andre and Adrian. She didn't give a reason for this, but the defense lawyers argued that neither man had a history of violence and that the evidence against them was circumstantial. Woodson made each man surrender their passport, and when they bonded out, they were placed on 24-hour-a-day monitoring and ordered to stay home. During their investigation, police discovered a massive rift between Tiffany and Andre. There were multiple reasons for this, the first being Andre's financial state. He was faced with the foreclosure of a previous home and had a very poor credit rating. This significantly strained the marriage, which was made worse by Andre's constant cheating with sex workers and women he met online. Tiffany had made up her mind. She was leaving Andre and was going to fight for custody of the children and their Lake Haven home. County District Attorney Paul Howard's spokesman Chris Hooper explained, "The foreclosure of the old home and the divorce would have ultimately left Andre homeless." On the 5th of October 2018, Andre Pugh was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, plus 5 years for hiring Adrian to kill his wife. Adrian Harley was later also sentenced to life in prison. But was the murder of Tiffany the only killing that Andre was responsible for? On the 14th of January 2014, 38-year-old William Fernando Barnes, who went by DJ Nando, was killed outside his Clayton County, Georgia home. William worked at Club Onyx and was well known on the club scene. He had helped launch the careers of artists such as Future, 2 Chainz, and Migos. But despite being involved with such big names, William was known as a family man. Rumors swirled that Andre and Adrian also killed DJ Nando. Andre was extremely jealous of DJ Nando's position at the club, as Nando was by far a much better DJ. Andre wanted the same notoriety as Nando. Shortly after Nando was killed, Andre requested DJ Nando's night. His girlfriend, who was with him when he took his last breath, later explained how he didn't have bad blood with anyone. We still don't know who killed DJ Nando or if Andre had anything to do with it. Tiffany will be remembered by those who loved her as a pure soul who had a contagious smile. She loved her children fiercely and had so much to live for. May she rest in peace.